Relying on motivation to take action not only makes you undisciplined, but also makes sure that you never reach your goals and forever live in regret. But I applied 6 principles from behavioral science that draw from an infinite source of inspiration within, which turned me into a disciplined god. Kid you not. So in this video, I'll share the principles to master discipline for lazy people, a concrete exercise to apply them, and how to summon that inspiration at will without David Goggins.
Know me, son? Yeah.
But first, let me explain why I shit on motivation so much. Imagine that you want to get to a destination and you have a car, but it's not a normal car. The car only starts and moves when the weather is absolutely perfect. So when the weather is cloudy or it's raining, the car stops. You use the car of motivation to reach your goals, and this car only works when you're feeling perfect. So every time you didn't go to the gym because you were not feeling like it, your motivation car just stopped. And if you keep using this rubbish car to reach your goals, it will take a long ass time to reach there. That is if you're lucky enough to reach. Most of the time, you'll just say, fuck it, I'm going back home, and just stop your journey. Now, you can watch endless motivation videos and David Goggins to change the weather of your feelings, but there's this another car in your garage that works and moves no matter what the weather is like or no matter what you're feeling. It's just that we aren't aware of its existence. Let me explain this with an example. Let's suppose there are two people, A and B. A starts to work out because he wants approval and validation from people, whereas B starts to work out because he wants to master his health and loves lifting weights. Initially motivated by his need for approval, A might race ahead of B in terms of muscle gains, but who do you think would stay consistent in the long run despite facing negative remarks and plateaus in growth? And if A is solely motivated by his need for approval, God forbid if he doesn't get that, do you think he'll be still hitting the gym? And that's the difference between the two types of motivators, internal and external. External motivators are things like money, approval, or status, just like in the case of A. They do have power in them. I'm not judging them or labeling them as useless, but that power is short lived and limited. Internal motivators are like this endless source of motivation within. Not even motivation, they're more like inspiration. And behavioral science has found that internal motivators increase well being, helps you be consistent in long term pursuits, enhances learning, improves creativity, and many more things. In my experience, majority of the humankind stupidly chases things like money, approval, and status. But if you really notice and observe, the truly successful and more importantly fulfilled people are those who are motivated internally. So, what are these internal motivators and how can you start harnessing their power? Before I share the simple exercise to harness their power, Before I share the simple exercise to harness their power, here are the 6 internal motivators. Number 1 is autotelicity, which is nothing but a fancy word for love. Think back to a time in which you were engaged in an activity and hours flew by without you realizing it. Maybe you were playing table tennis or chess. You experience infinite motivation to do autotelic activities. That is the activities which you do because you love and enjoy them and not because of you want to reach an end goal or there's an external reward. Number 2 is belonging. You've certainly heard that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out the most with. Humans are social creatures and we experience internal motivation to do the things that help us fit in with the group. This is one of the reasons why it is easier to quit when you're part of a group that includes people which have a similar goal or pursuit, like Alcoholics Anonymous. Number 3 is curiosity, and this is my personal favorite. When you're really curious about something and the way it functions, you experience this internal itch to figure it out and understand it. You can notice this energy in children who are endlessly motivated and curious. Number 4 is mastery. Think back to the endless rallies in table tennis, which were boring and repetitive. But you continued and persevered because you wanted to master the skill of table tennis. Number 5th is autonomy or freedom. No one likes to be forced to do something. not even rats. So when rats who love to run on the running wheel were forced to do that, although for the same time which they usually do, but this time it was without their choice or will, their health deteriorated. The more autonomy or freedom you have in a task, the more creativity, motivation, and inspiration you feel towards it. Number six is purpose. Imagine a guy who's pointing a gun at you and you're completely helpless. The more likely he is to pull the trigger, the faster you'll dodge it. But now, imagine that there's the guy, there's you, and there's your child beside you. And the man is pointing the gun on your child. What will you do if he's going to pull the trigger? Purpose is the most powerful of internal motivators. Earlier, when the guy was more likely to pull the trigger, you were faster to dodge it. But now, the more the guy is likely to pull the trigger, the faster you'll jump in front of the gun because you're motivated by purpose. Purpose is how much of something contributes to a greater good just beyond yourself. It can be your mission, it can be your child, your nation, anything. Now, let me share an exercise which will put the power of these internal motivators on your fingertips so that you no longer need to depend on motivational videos or feeling good to take action. Write down the activity you want to be motivated for using a pen and paper. Write as many points as you genuinely can for the following. What about the activity or its outcome you absolutely love? For belonging, join a group, community, or clubs that have people engaging in the same activity. It can be in person or online. What about the activity or its outcome you're curious about? What are the skills you want to master from or within this activity? What about this activity is your choice and you have control over? Note, for low freedom activities, frame it as a stepping stone to a greater path chosen by you. Focus on small and tiny things which you have full control over. 6. Write your purpose in one statement. How is what you're doing helps you reach that. Once you're done with this exercise, you'll notice that your motivation for that exercise goes through the roof. Remember, the more genuine you are and the more genuinely you feel the things you write, the more motivation you'll experience from it. You cannot really fool yourself into it. Now, this is how you can summon motivation at will. The next time you feel that you're lacking motivation for the above activity, just go through this list once again. Maybe you can keep it on your phone, and you'll notice that you'll re experience that boost, motivation, and inspiration almost instantly. Internal motivation combines beautifully with the system that I developed using a Vedic theory to transform your life in 2 minutes a day. So, if you'd like to transform your life, you can click here.